Alright, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are in a new place, actually. Me and my friend Levi, we have moved out, and we haven't had internet for like the past week and a half, so that is why I've had no WoW's content. We are actually offline right now, and I figured while I have the time, I've been wanting to go back over some of the tier lists or whatever. So today we're doing the World of Warships Legends Tier 7 Battleship rankings. This is Legends, and I'm going to say this a million times, guys. This is World of Warships Legends. I can't believe how many times I had to say that last video, or last time I did this, and there was so many comments from the PC universe that were like, these ships aren't Tier 7. What are you talking about? And then I'd just be like, this isn't PC, this is Legends. So as we drink our coffee, let's get into it. Obviously S tier, A plus tier, A and B. I don't think any of these battleships are C. I think that would just be a little bit like bias or like negative bias if I put something in C. So I just made a personally hate tier. So let's get into it. Key is going to be weird. Can we click on it? There we go. Key is, we're going to stick it in B for now, just because it's a weird Amagi. And the more I look at this, the more I wish I had a B plus tier, but I really don't think I have enough experience with Key. Key and Amagi both. I'm actually going to do both of these at the same time, just because they're so much of an oof. Like the IJN Battleship Tech Tree, whatever. It gets weird, and aside from the Yamato, there's really nothing to look forward to at high tiers with the battleships. And Key obviously has torpedoes. They're very short range compared to PC. They're like 10 kilometers on PC. Secondaries in Legends are terrible, so you can't really factor that in for these two ships. The main batteries alone just don't really seem to carry as well as they used to. And obviously there's just a lot more competition at the tiers. And yeah, Amagi getting its health nerf like a long time ago. This was like a year and a half ago maybe. Just not overall the best picks. Vladivostok, we're gonna keep this moving, because last time this happened, this was like a 25-minute video. We have got to keep moving, guys. Vladivostok is going to be this is tough. I definitely think it's going to be A+. If you know what you're doing in it, Vladivostok has definitely some of the best armor in the game. That being having the deck armor, minimal superstructure, and you're just so resilient to HE, which for the most part is what can really just destroy a ton of battleships in this game, even more so than like any other class. It's just battleships are in such a weird spot right now, and a lot of that is due to how strong cruisers are. And I guess some background of why I'm ranking these ships is I'm going to be probably going through all of them again, the destroyers, the whatnots, and the cruisers. But I want to be doing more tier lists, but figured we've had a good bit more battleships. But for the most part, as a primarily cruiser player, I definitely have played these battleships, but I've also played against them a lot. And there's some that make me go, oh, there's a damage number. You know, that's not a big deal. There's also some that I'm just like, oh, shit. And Vladivostok is definitely one of those, because it is a pain to kill in a cruiser. It is very resilient to the HE. It has 406mm guns, so it doesn't matter what cruiser I'm in. I cannot battle tank it for the most part, unless you're in Edinburgh, which is just dumb. So Vladivostok, it carries really, really well, just because if you keep angled, excuse me, if you keep angled and you use its armor as its utility and its guns, it's just a fantastic ship. It's ridiculously hard to kill sometimes, and it's super annoying to face a good one. Moving on to the Chad of them all is definitely going to be Lenin. Lenin is a ship that I, as a CC, got to rent or not rent. They gave it to us last year when that event was going. I don't have it myself anymore. I didn't really want to play that event and sell my soul to get it, but when playing it, it's insane. I mean, you have the armor like the Vladivostok. You just have the typical like Nelson turret setup, which allows you to be this nose in, just bully. That is, I mean, the biggest thing with the Russian battleships is don't show your broadside because it's giving up citadels every single time. With Lenin, you have all your turrets at the front, so you don't have to swing your side around to get your back turrets. So you are incredibly tanky because if anyone shoots HE at you, first of all, they're not going to pin you unless they're hitting your bow. They're also going to shatter on the front half of your ship because they're going to shatter on the turrets, and you have a small superstructure. Again, you have 406mm guns. Overall, Lenin, I hope a good bit of you agree with me on this one, but Lenin is insane. Now, Kansas is a ship that I do not have. So therefore, I believe that I cannot place it higher than A. I think a lot of people will say that Kansas is going to be better than Iowa. And from what I've seen, from what I've heard, what I've played against, Kansas is pretty nuts. I mean, it just got the buff. It's got like a 32-second reload now. They got a buff in the dispersion. A lot of people think Kansas is really good, and I think I agree. I don't have it yet. I haven't been able to play too much. But yeah, if I would have played this thing, it's slow, obviously. I don't think it could ever be S tier just because of how slow it is. You know, Kansas is one of those ships where if you spawn in a bad spot and you can't fight your way out of it, you're just at a losing battle and you're just there to kind of get farmed. But for the most part, offensively, I think it carries itself up enough against A, at least to A. But I haven't played it, so I really can't mark it any higher. Let me know what you guys think about the Kansas. I think I'm terrified. Like when I'm playing in a cruiser, it overmatches me no matter what cruiser I'm in. It has 12 really accurate shells that do a ton of damage. And with the reload buff and the dispersion buff, it's just like you do not want to be on the receiving end when this thing is loaded in anything. Because even if you're bow in a battleship and he shoots high and goes for your turrets, your superstructure, that's a lot of shells that are super accurate to just rake your superstructure for 10 grand, or at least a turret or two, you know. Moving on is the Alabama. Another ship that I haven't played in a very long time. I actually played it on someone else's account. I think Alabama might be one of the best, like, most consistent picks for a battleship at Tier 7. I just haven't played it in forever. I played it, like, I think it was like a year and a half ago, so back when, like, the USN were just really, really strong. I think the USN battleships as a whole are probably still some of the best, just because they're very good at what they do and they don't have a ton of downsides, if you know what I mean. But a lot of people, I think, will agree with me that Alabama, if you have it, is one insanely accurate battleship, and it kind of gives you that scare factor that the Iowa has, but it's also smaller, it being like the South Dakota class battleship. The problem with Iowa is, and we'll get to it, is it's so long, so it takes a lot of damage. You're going to take a lot of torpedoes a lot more often. But being in Alabama, that's much shorter. Same thing with the Massachusetts. You're going to end up, you know, being a lot more maneuverable, smaller turning circle. You know, the guns are fantastic. A plus for me, easy. If I'd played it now, I'd probably say S. It's just hard for me to rank battleships as an S because the class as a whole kind of gets shafted in Legends. So it's hard to be like, yeah, this battleship is really good, but at the end of the day, it's still a battleship in Legends. So it's going to be really hard for me to rank something S. Georgia, another easy A plus for me. Maybe S. I don't really think so. It gives up a good bit to be how good it is at main battery. It doesn't. The armor's not the best. Superstructure is massive. Um, Georgia is really fun though. Georgia, I will say, is definitely one of my go-to ships, just because in a battleship, being able to have a speed boost is just awesome, and the reload is good. It is very accurate. Georgia is a ship that I love to play because of how accurate it is. I hate playing battleships where I'm having to wait for the reload only for RNG just to say, you know what? No, you didn't make a good play that time. You shot, and we're going to screw you over. Georgia, however, is insanely accurate. So I'm going to leave it at that. It doesn't have the secondaries like it does on PC, which is really, really sad. If it had the 7-kilometer stock secondaries that it does on PC, it would easily be S. I mean, 100% easily be S. But moving on, Iowa is actually going to go in A, and I'm gonna get something for that. But I'm not saying that Kansas is better. I don't know. I really don't know. Iowa is. I think I like putting it at A1 because it's better than Kiyanamagi. It definitely is. It's gonna be like, this is how it goes. Like, these ships are better, I think, than the tier. Iowa is an extremely consistent battleship. And I think A is probably just a really good place to put it. Also, with one of the ships, aka Missouri, in the game now, I can't put Iowa too high because I ultimately will have to put Missouri above it. And a few of you know why. We'll get that to a second. But Iowa, really good, very large turning circle. It hasn't been nerfed since the beginning, which all it was some redistribution of HP to its superstructure, and they lowered the AP alpha a little bit, like a year and a half ago. But other than that, I mean, Iowa has stayed very consistent. Like, if you're looking for a Tier 7 battleship, it's Iowa is a pretty dang good pick. I mean, you really can't go wrong. I just think there's a lot more better options out there now, in my opinion. As you try to drink some more coffee. Massachusetts is going to be another bias of mine. I love this ship. And you'll be wondering why there's a ton of USN ships up here. And it's not because I'm from the US and I like the USN ships. I just really think overall, gameplay-wise, they carry harder than a lot of other of these ships. A lot of that is down to probably the guns. I mean, main battery carries you really far in this game, especially with cruisers. Cruisers these days, tons of them have 27 millimeters of armor. So being able to overmatch all of these cruisers with your main battery with AP is really, really strong. So I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more when we get down to the Jean Bart. But for now, I mean, Massachusetts, the secondaries are actually fairly accurate. Again, it has the 406 millimeter guns. If you want to, I believe the Sigma is slightly worse than the Alabama, but you can set it up as like an accuracy build, Massachusetts, and you get 7-kilometer stock secondary range. So you could pretty much be just an alternate Alabama with a little bit worse Sigma. But another thing about the American battleships is if you do get into a carrier game, they have good AA. So that's another just like passive stat that is just good for them. Kansas has insane AA, but like they're very consistent. Like if I had to go into a match and play a battleship to get a consistent result, it's very easy to just be like, yeah, I'd pick one of these ships because they're just consistent. Now, Missouri. I find it maybe a little bit impossible not to put it here. Having radar on a battleship is so very important. Not important, but it's really strong because the biggest counter in a battleship is something that you cannot see, and for the most part, that is going to be a destroyer. 9.9 kilometers, or 9.5 actually. You only get usually like one reload in between the radar cycle, but having that ability to gain information by yourself as a battleship is just, I mean, that's the one thing that battleships are most dependent on is information. If you, as the battleship, can get the information yourself, that's really strong. It's a better Iowa for sure, obviously. I mean, it's got good AA. Only downsides, again, it's just got the long hull, which can attract a lot of damage and a lot of torpedoes in that turning circle. But radar on a battleship, I mean, it's hard not to put in S. And it's got 406mm guns, good AA, pretty accurate. Turpitz. I'm probably going to put Turpitz at B, not going to lie, because we have these saucy boys down here. Turpitz is a ship that has been oofed into oblivion. When it first came out, when it very first came out in Legends, it had the Citadel bug, where you could waterline Citadel at any range with like any ship. It was awful. They fixed it. They have buffed it slightly. I forget what it was recently. It was like a month or two ago. But Turpitz's problem is the game is moving into a meta that is further and further back. And Turpitz is a ship that likes to move in and in and in. So if you're a ship that excels at moving in, and your opposition is doing much better way away, you're kind of just pushing into a place where you're never going to be in your desired kind of like playground. When you get into those positions with Turpitz and you are able to brawl and the matchmaking is kind to you, Turpitz is fun. It is a ton of fun. However, it just most games will not favor your ship, and you're going to be forced to either overcommit or just play a little bit long range because you can't, pushing in would be suicide, obviously. So yeah, I mean, that's Turpitz's downfall is basically just the move towards a lot of HE spam, long range like engagements where Turpitz doesn't really do well, and for the most part. Odin, I think, is personally hate actually. It's honestly, I think Odin is more versatile than Turpitz. Maybe a B plus, not an A. Odin sucks, man. I hate this ship, and for one reason. The one reason why I hate this ship is the turrets. The turrets armor is literally like -2. I don't think I've played a game in Odin where I haven't lost a turret, or at least had it incapacitated for a large amount of time. I mean, it's just ridiculous, guys. It's a fun ship. It's got a lot of things going for it. Again, if I were to actually rank it, it would be A or B. Low A, above these 3 and B. Nothing too crazy. But I can't play it, guys. I can't, because every time I do play it, I lose a main battery. And I'm just like, well, this sucks. It's not fun. So that's my opinion on Odin. Decent ship, just annoying to play. Brandenburg is actually kind of nuts. We actually got this on loan, and we got to keep it as CCs, and I haven't played it enough to mark it any higher, but it has a ton of options. It has the 12 305mm guns, which the AP is not great, true, but Brandenburg has a lot of options to mess with your damage con. And what I mean there is, long range, you're not going to get anything done with the AP for the most part. So shooting HE on the way in with your 12 305mm guns, lighting fires on the way, getting up close, you can get your secondaries out to almost 12 kilometers. So you're putting fires on bow end targets as you move in. Your secondaries start shooting at 12, 11.5 kilometers. They can light fires. Then once you get within 6, you still have all that stuff going on. You have torpedoes. It has a lot of options to brawl. Like 1v1, Brandenburg might be one of the best battleships in the game. I haven't played it enough to really make sure, but I think it's a ton of fun. It's probably my go-to German battleship because it has so many options. It has the secondaries of Bismarck. It has the more versatile guns of Odin, and it has the torpedoes of Turpitz and Odin. So it's like everything just like mixed into this like German battleship experience, and I just can't not pick it. Bismarck, probably A. It's been buffed so many times that I can't deny that it's decent. However, it is a battleship. It does have 381 millimeter guns, which is very easy to negate in a cruiser these days. It's not the best ship in the world, but it's not the worst. It's been buffed. Like the Bismarck we have in Legends is, I would argue, much better than the Bismarck they have on PC. Main battery wise, is Bismarck is much better here than over there. And we'll just move on. Roma is probably one of the ships that I would hate the most, to be honest. It's just not good. There's going to be a couple more here. Roma is another ship where it's okay, but what really kills it is not having an accuracy commander, which we do now, which you can buy, which is kind of annoying. I don't agree with that at all. But Roma obviously can't overmatch 27 millimeters of plating, so you're going to struggle versus cruisers. You have good armor, true, you have pretty good maneuverability, but your turrets are made of glass. Literally. Like, Roma, it's fun to brawl in these two ships. It really is, but not when you get turrets knocked out every other salvo, because then you can't brawl for the most part. So, power scaling, probably B. I mean, it just doesn't have it does not have a lot in its arsenal to really get. It has good armor. That's about it. Very mediocre guns. Overall. Vanguard is a ship that I'm going to have to put at probably A+. I hate playing it. I really do hate playing it, just because I feel like the accuracy is. I mean, it's been buffed in an insane amount of times. I think Georgia is far more accurate than the Vanguard, so that's kind of what I base my this is good battleship accuracy off of, because Georgia's just insane. Vanguard is nowhere close, in my opinion. I just have the worst games in it ever, and it's super annoying to play. But for me, I can't ignore the fact that it's insanely hard to kill sometimes. I mean, it has pretty good concealment. Apologize, guys. It has pretty good concealment. It also has, what am I thinking of? The 5 heals. The heals are insane. Like, if you are playing a Vanguard who knows how to play at range a little bit, kind of just trying to stay into the battle and all that kind of stuff and just stay around, Vanguard can be insanely hard to get down, because the 5 heals that you can get are just ridiculous. It's come a long way. I personally don't like to play it because the turret angles are very annoying and the rudder shift is quite slow. So it's not my favorite, but I can't deny how good it can be and how annoying. Versus a good, I would never want to play against a good Vanguard, because you're almost never going to kill the stupid thing. Literally, it's 1v1. You're almost never going to kill it. It's just not going to happen. Monarch probably going into the B. Now, obviously, I don't have this ship, so I wouldn't be able to rank this higher than A. I know a lot of people who love this ship, Monarch. Personally, me, I don't see it. I have never come across a Monarch that I haven't been able to deal with. True, it has a good heal, but it doesn't have a lot of base hit points. And there's a lot of ships in this game where, if I'm in a Cleveland, for instance, and you have 50,000, 56,000, I forget how much HP it has, and you have around 50,000 HP, and you can super heal some of that, so you probably have theoretically 70,000 HP or so within about 2 minutes. Everyone's it has a ton of healing power, but it's just if you're under sustained fire, it doesn't matter how much healing power you have if you can't make it to your next heal. Because Monarch is going to take HE pins everywhere. Literally everywhere. So every salvo, I'd be taking, 3, 4, 5, even more, with fires on top of it. It's good if you know how to. Better players will be able to take this ship up here. For the most part, for me, I've never really seen the appeal to it, just because it doesn't really have a ton going for it to me. That just makes it insane. In a division, sure. Alone, like solo, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go to the Leon. Leon is a ship that I actually hate as well. Uh, a lot of people think it's better than Monarch. I would probably put it probably maybe A plus. A lot of people are probably going to say it's really really good. I don't think so. Um, it's an interesting ship for me. The reason why I hate it is down to its turret setup and the way that the turret angles are. And I forget if it's the B turret or if it's the C turret. But I mean, you have to be completely broadside to get all three guns going sometimes, which is really annoying compared to or when you combine that with a raised citadel. So Lion is really easy to citadel, and you have to give up a lot of broadside to actually get all of your guns shooting. Has good armor, has more HP than the Monarch, and it also keeps the super heal. So it is really good. Me personally playing it, I hate playing it. I just don't. I really don't. I don't like playing a lot of battleships in this game, um, just because of how shafted they can be in this meta right now, and the meta that has been here for a while now. Um, it's got the stats, but when you play it, you're gonna realize a lot of annoying things about it. That's just like, man, really didn't have fun. It just feels more like a chore to play sometimes. Jean Bart is a ship that I can't not put it as. I mean, let's be honest, guys. It just has Jean Bart has too many tools in its disposal to be consistently good match after match after match after match. Yeah, sure, you're gonna get those couple of matches where someone shoots your turrets and you lose a turret. That's gonna happen. I know I harped about that and the person hate about these turrets, but Jean Bart has so many options to do well, and it's just good. I mean, let's talk about the bias for the 406, um, more or less, because I said earlier I was like, this looks like I have like a USN bias here with 406s, but if you guys can remember when Jean Bart came out, with the French 380s, the only cruiser that had 27 millimeters of armor that could bounce Jean Bart AP was Hipper, and Hipper was not good, and no one played Hipper. So when Jean Bart came out, it it could overmatch almost every cruiser that it ever would face, and no one knew how to deal with it. So I think overall, it's still probably S tier. You could probably argue A plus. It just has a ton of tools. It really does, but it hasn't been nerfed in the fact that the ship has been nerfed, but the competition around the game has improved. We have a lot of 27 millimeter battle cruisers now, so the Jean Bart's AP is most of all, if they know how to play against it, pretty ineffective. But still, if someone was to pay me money to go win a game in a battleship, these ships here. Richarlia is A plus, easy. I still don't have this on my account, but I have played it. It does feel different than the Jean Bart. It really does, and it's weird because there's not much difference. Um, it's just a very good ship. You don't have to sacrifice broadside because you have all your guns at the front. Your turrets are not as weak as Jean Bart's, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. It is overall a very solid battleship. I really think so. Is it better than Iowa? I think so. I think so. That's hard. That's hard to swallow, to be honest. Maybe Iowa's A plus. I just think Iowa is a really good litmus test for battleships because it's very good and very consistent for a lot of things. But is it really good? I don't think so. Not anymore. Not anymore. You know. Definitely not anymore. Now, we got some bad ones to end off on. I'm sorry, guys. Champagne is, or Gascogne, B, easily, personally hate. This ship is terrible. It offers you nothing, okay? You have a terrible turret layout. One quad in the front, one quad in the back. So you don't benefit from the other French, forward-facing, whatever. You have 380mm guns, so you don't overmatch 27mm battle cruisers. And you're kind of in. Combine that with French wonky dispersion, Gascogne can be just no. It is so annoying to play. It is so annoying to play. Like, I haven't played this ship in a very, very long time. It's just not, and it's one of those things where it's just like, why would I play Gascogne when I could play Champagne? Champagne. I'm gonna get flamed for this one. Champagne is an A. Oh, I can't do that. I really can't do that, can I? Oh man, I can't do that. I'm getting sued as we speak. Oh, what time is it? Oh, 12:30. It's high noon here. Man, it's a good B. I will say that because the Champagne has gotten buffed. The dispersion is much tighter now. The only thing that is holding the Champagne back is it has 50,000 HP at tier 7. I don't understand that. I really don't. If you use Megalomania, you have 49,000 HP, which makes tier 5 look good. That is the only thing that's holding back. It really is. The guns are fine. The guns are actually pretty good. If you're forced to switch to HE, you can. The French battleships also have access to one of the best commanders in the game. She has a skill that your shell switch time is like minus 95%. So if you're loaded with AP or HE with her skill, you can just click the switch reload button and you can reload the other shell type within like a second, which is extremely valuable for a battleship. I mean, that is like you will always have the best shell type at your disposal. Champagne is not, dude, it's not bad. If it had maybe like 10k more HP and concealment mod, I think Champagne would be here. I hated it. I do hate it. I want to see this ship be decent. I think it's better than a lot of people give it credit. And I used to hate this ship. I used to hate it. I think it's a little boring. Yes, true. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the list. Looking over it now, I'm not... There's some oof picks in here. Obviously, personally hate doesn't mean that it's lower than B. Like, I've explained that. Again, this is World of Warships Legends, and I did rip these pictures off of the WoW's wiki piece on PC, just so you guys could see the names. It'd be easier for y'all to follow. Lennon, Missouri, Jean Bar, that's a pretty stacked S tier. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Georgia, no. Alabama is really consistent. Massachusetts is a ton of fun. Kansas is just too slow. Brandenburg has terrible turret angles, so it can't be any higher, really. Iowa's just really, really good at what it does. I think Vlad might be better. Key, Amagi don't really bring anything to the table anymore. Turpitz just really isn't in its domain anymore. Game's way too passive for Turpitz to do well most of the time. I don't have Monarch, so I can't mark it above A. Roma's trash. Roma's trash, let's be honest. Come on, guys, come on. Odin has no turret armor, so it's just annoying to play. Lion, no. Gascogne, no. Just sell it. The best thing you can do with Gascogne is get the 18 million credits from selling it. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the chart. That is going to be the list. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you stuck around, let me know what you think in the comments below. And let me know if you guys want to see more tier lists pertaining to maybe different tiers or different ship classes. I don't know. But anyways, guys, I'm heading out. Y'all take it easy. Peace.